Is this really what we want our Secretary of Defense to be focused on right now? Don't we want him to be focused on the strength of our military, keeping people safe, not someone's sexual orientation?
I mean, let's not forget the Republicans had the first transgender speaker at a national conference in 2016.
Would they do that today?
President Trump, I think she'd probably be invited to the White House.
You think so?
President Trump made Secretary Bessent the Secretary of Treasury. I mean, Harriet Tubman is honored in so many ways I can't count it. And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve a ship.
What is
my point is, if there is still, if there's a remnant of DEI included in certain things, including the names of
DEI?
Because I think it's a person whose contribution to society is celebrating the diversity of LGBT people.
Well,
in my opinion,
I mean, it could be that he was served honorably in the Navy.
So, America's #1 most unqualified Pete Hegseth, who I already can't stand, decided to start stripping the names of civil rights icons off Navy ships. He's basically a dog with a bone, and the bone is DEI. Okay, and get this. He's blaming it on some AI review, like it makes it any better. All right, well, let's get to this.
It's worth noting that on the list of names that they are reportedly considering, this is according to the CBS and the New York Times, CNN hasn't independently confirmed it, it's Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Harriet Tubman, Dolores Huerta, Lucy Stone, Cesar Chavez, Medgar Evers, civil rights leaders, all of them, women and people of color.
No, I think it's always very important to look at this through moral and spiritual lens. See, brother, I had met Brother Harvey, and he supported Goldwater in '64. He's a Jewish brother from Bayshore. He underwent a change and transformation. He was murdered, organized hatred against precious gay brothers and lesbian sisters, and trans, and black folk, and brown folk, and Jews, and Arabs, and Muslims, and white folk. All human beings can be hated. And we've got to put a stop to the cycle of any form of hatred. And Moscone was also assassinated. The mayor was assassinated the same day, right? And it was a supervisor who had voted against him who killed him, and then he committed suicide after he left jail. That's a level of spiritual decay back then that we still have to come to terms with today. So when I look at those, when I see Harriet Tubman, I say, oh my God, Harriet Tubman's too good to be on any U.S. ship anyway, tell you the truth. But I mean, we won't get into that right now.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I mean, Harriet Tubman. Talk about warrior ethos.
Absolutely.
Gun toting here. I'm a gun person.
I mean,
I love my guns.
But come on. I mean, what are we doing here? Is the idea just that if you are a woman, if you are a person of color in American history, you don't get remembered or recorded on a ship, but if you are a Confederate traitor to this country, you do. I mean, Donald Trump, back in 2017, said it was sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments. You can't change history, but you can learn from it. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. I mean, that's worth defending, but not Harriet Tubman, Thurgood Marshall, Medgar Evers.
Medgar Evers, Harriet Tubman, I think their names should stay on the ships. I mean, these were incredible Americans who withstood insurmountable odds. I mean, certainly things that I certainly couldn't imagine today, Abby, in the modern sense. And I would argue, thinking about the warrior ethos, particularly Harriet Tubman, I mean, this is someone who I think really embodies what you would want in a warrior, someone with a level of courage and magnanimity. You talked about this once before, Doc, a couple years ago. And so I would certainly think she would be someone who would instill the sense of pride and fearlessness you would want in your warriors. I'm not exactly sure why the secretary is making this decision. I know he says he wants to move in a different direction, but those three individuals.
You don't know why, Shermichael? You don't know why, Shermichael?
Individuals in particular, I think we should leave their names on the ships.
But is this really what we want our Secretary of Defense to be focused on right now? Don't we want him to be focused on the strength of our military, keeping people safe, not someone's sexual orientation? I mean, this is the job of the Secretary of Defense, is to make sure that we have a strong military, not spend his time trying to figure out what is going to appease the far right or Donald Trump. And this is the problem with Hegseth. And I think that from the beginning, he has shown that he is not qualified for this job. He does not know how to do his job. And time after time after time again, we continue to see that he has no idea what this job is about and he cannot lead the Department of Defense. And so I think it's a real question about why is he spending his time doing this?
It's 3 days into Pride Month, and clearly a signal is being sent to the LGBTQ community, but particularly on this issue of gay rights, which we had a conversation on the show about this yesterday, about the erosion of support for gay rights among conservatives. This seems to be a very clear signal that they want to double down on that. And I think the question, to Xochitl's point, is why? Why is this a priority for the defense secretary?
Well, I mean, let's not forget the Republicans had the first transgender speaker at a national conference in 2016.
Would they do that today?
President Trump, I think she'd probably be invited to the White House.
You think so?
President Trump made Secretary Besant the Secretary of Treasury, the highest ranking, to my recollection, the highest ranking openly gay American to ever hold that office. He's had Rick Grinnell in his first administration. He was the first president to actually run openly in support of gay marriage. So I don't think his LGBT record is really in question. But this isn't the hill I would die on. Just let me start with that caveat. But let me try to explain. There is still controversy about the LGBT movement, right? We have this debate at this panel. We talk about women, men in sports and things like that. And we used to name Navy oilers after rivers. I looked that up before I came here, right? And at some point, the previous administration and others decided we're going to make political statements. And most of the people that they named ships after have no real political controversial views. And I think we are still having a debate over part of the LGBT issue in terms of how broad of a scope the movement can go without pushback. We're seeing, again, this issue with women and men competing in the same.
Who is this, Joe Borelli? I don't think he realizes he's not protecting tradition. He's trying to say like, oh, tradition talk, trying to pull that card. He's not protecting tradition. He's protecting fragility. There is a difference.
Sports is an 80-20 issue where people are not with the LGBT community, right?
Yeah, but
and I'm only saying that because we used to name ships after things that were not at all politically.
We name ships after people all the time, as we've established. We name military bases after people all the time. Some of those people tried to overthrow this very government. And so all of a sudden, when the people are Black, brown, or women, it's a problem, but it's not a problem. When it was, Andrew Jackson or whatever it is,
I think you should be taken off too.
Exactly. And you know what? It's funny how these people are always crying about, cancel culture, but until it's a Black woman or a gay veteran or someone who fought for civil rights, and suddenly it's like canceling is like patriotic. It's like the most patriotic thing all of a sudden. It's so annoying. They're such babies.
Take it off too.
I guess this. You were talking about Trump's credentials on LGBTQ issues. I think you're right about all the things that you noted. But I do ask, the question I have to ask is, what signal are they sending by making this move now and doing it with this particular ship that's named after someone who was killed just because he was gay?
Because I think his name was included to insert an idea into the public sphere about a political issue that we're having. I think that's part of somewhat of the DEI movement, the thing that Pete Hegseth has been talking about. So I think, at the very least, whether you agree with me or not, we're going to see more of this type of stuff happening, I think, as the military recalibrates.
I just want you to finish.
Okay, you know what I have to say to that? If he's so cool with erasing the legacies of people who literally made this country more just because they don't fit into his idea of a good American, then that clearly says more about him than the legacies of the people that he's talking about. Don't you think? I mean, it's crazy that he doesn't realize that. And I think what it says about him should stand out a lot.
Finish the thought, because is the statement that he is making that people like Harvey Milk should not be honored in this country? Is that the statement? Like, what is the statement?
I mean, Harriet Tubman is honored in so many ways, I can't count it. And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve a ship.
What is the statement?
My point is, if there is still, if there's a remnant of DEI included in certain things, including the names of ships, because I think it's a person whose contribution to society is celebrating the diversity of LGBT people.
Well,
in my opinion,
I mean, it could be that he was served honorably in the Navy. It could be that he was an elected official.
We have no other municipal elected officials with ships named after him.
Okay.
Not one.
Yeah, but he was...
It's because he was a gay rights advocate.
Renamed,
that's fine.
Pete Hegseth, in an attempt to rename formerly named Confederate military bases back to their Confederate names, picked out of a list of veterans, just random people who served, which is fine. Harvey Milk is a person who served.
These ain't the issues
And he is
I
a
die on, by the
historical
way.
figure.
I said
No,
that in the beginning.
I think part of what's at stake here is how do you separate the raw vilification and hatred of vulnerable people, no matter who they are. And I've mentioned the whole list before, right? And it's a human thing, but we got to keep track of it. And then how do you have a respectful political conversation about wrestling with various issues and policies? The sad thing is that they blew her. And so that's why so many of us say, no, we will defend our precious trans and gays and lesbians, even if we disagree with certain policies that's coming out of that community. I'm going to defend black folk, even when I have deep disagreements with black people, because I want their humanity affirmed. And that means what? Giving them the right to be wrong and the right to be right.
Now, okay, that is a very, very, very perfect thing. Because, you know, Donald's been so like, everybody gets punished who criticizes me, but this is America where we have the right to criticize. I have the right to sit here and talk so much shit on America. I won't, but I'm saying, as an American, I have the right to do so. And people are getting that all mixed up with their Christian views and all this stuff. I think it's bullshit. Now, about Pete Hegseth, like, you know, people like Sean Penn and Nancy Pelosi are rightfully dragging him for this, for trying to erase the people who actually made this country better. He has, I don't know how many times many of us have to say this, but he has zero business being the defense secretary. No real military leadership chops, just like Fox News bullshit, okay? Fox News energy and a boner for canceling anything that's not white, male, or Christian coded. That's not cool. It's so ridiculous that I have to sit here and say this right now. Because, you know, KEGseth over there, he even wrote a book whining and crying about DEI and calling it efforts to combat extreme, like, discriminatory. He thinks that it's discriminating against white people. All these white people are screaming about, oh, we're being discriminated against because we're celebrating the legacies of legends who have fucking made this country exactly who they are. The reason why he's even sitting there to begin with, maybe not so much as, like, Jasmine Crockett or something, but, like, the fact that, like, all of us have all these rights are because of these people, and he's sitting there crying about it. What a fucking baby this guy is. I can't stand him. Civil rights organizations, they've been calling him out for being misogynist and misogynistic and hostile for years. Rightly so, okay? Like, the whole thing just screams petty revenge politics, and the people it hurts the most are queer people, black people, and indigenous service members who already serve under enough pressure as it is. Okay? It's giving insecure frat boy with the power he didn't earn. All this whole administration is. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. I think it's pretty ridiculous. I would love to, like, box Pete KEGseth or something, some kind of fight. I do want to beat him up so bad. He's such a little wuss. And I'm gonna leave it there. Please like and subscribe. I hope you guys are liking my Abby Phillip series, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this, because there's so much to say about this. I'm trying to just keep it at a minimum because I don't want to be so annoying. I don't want to be too annoying, but yeah, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next episode. Thanks.
They got your data, dumbass.
Do not come. Do not come.